Get a pump. All right. So, hey guys, I'm Coach P Strength. We are back again with Flag Friday. Today we're going to talk about quick fixes for the ankle. We're going to demonstrate what we're going to see in tight ankles with the squat. We're going to demonstrate what we see with tight ankles in the deadlift. And then we're going to go over some quick fixes on how to assess, how to analyze and mobilize all these areas to try to fix your squat and deadlift. So go ahead, let's get you in here. So we're just going to get right into some of the common things we see. So a lot of these dysfunctions, don't move yet. So a lot of these dysfunctions that we see in the squat stem all the way from down here. So if something's tight, like we got a tight calf muscle, tight soleus, tight gastroc, all that stuff in the back side of the ankle there, we start to mess with the mechanics that go all the way up the entire body. So Brendan here is going to show us kind of what you would hear of and see as a squat good morning type of a movement dysfunction here. So go ahead and do like 5-6 reps here. So what we have happen is his ankles are so tight that it's blocking his knee from tracking forward over his toes. So the body will compensate by over-exaggerating this angle at the trunk. His hips are going to go way, way, way back. His head's going to come forward, and we're blocking against this here. So his calf being so tight is messing the squat up through the entire chain of the squat. Now, what we tend to see with these guys, too, is go ahead and kind of freeze in the bottom with the shins vertical if you can. What's going to happen here is he can't track forward, so as he starts to drive into the ground, his ass is going to shoot way back this way, creating more of a lever, a longer lever there in the low back, and that's going to kill your numbers, and it's terrible for the spine. Not something that we want. Now, let's go into the valgus at the knees. So we'll see here, too, is if the ankle wants to block, the body's going to find some way to create extra range of motion. So what we have happen here in a lot of the females is the ankles will get tight and then we will buckle in, and this helps us shoot the hips back to create some artificial sense of mobility and also allows them to use the quads a little bit better, which is a good facilitated movement muscle group for these women. Okay, so what we have in the worst case scenarios, and we see this a lot in the very beginner lifters or people that have a balance issue in the squat, and sometimes even in some pretty high level lifters, we see this. Go ahead and show us a squat here when the heels actually pop up because the ankles are so tight. So we're going to get into this here like this because this is so tight that it actually will cause the heel to lift up off the ground in the squat. Really terrible to do because not only is it bad, it's going to compress the ankle, but it's going to cause that loading force that's supposed to be dissipated in the lower half muscle is going to shoot all the way into this knee right there, and then we're going to have force in the knee joint, not in the muscles that control the knee joint. Very, very bad. Now, a real common thing that we see is a coach will see this happen, and we add a heel-elevated Olympic lifting shoe to simulate kind of wedging, a little bit of a wedge underneath that heel. Now, this is a very, very bad quick fix to do because we're not correcting any of the poor mechanics. We're not correcting any of the force development in the knee joint itself. And we've not corrected any of the mobility issues at the ankle. We've just kind of provided a temporary quick fix. This will help you add and increase range of motion in your squat for the short term, but it's going to lead to a lot of long-term issues. We see a lot of these people that have tight ankles add the heels and still have a really gnarly forward lean and really terrible knee and groin pains develop in the long term of the squat. And a lot of times what we have happen is even when they go to the bottom, if the ankles are so tight, the heels will actually pop up inside the heel elevated shoe as well. If this stuff happens to you, that tells you your ankles are in some serious need of some love, and that's what we're going to show you in the next portion.
All right, everybody. I'm Coach B. Rose here with Coach P. We're going to go over how to assess your dorsiflexion today. The whole idea behind assessment is we want to make these tests able to be replicated with precision and accuracy. So what I'm going to have Coach P do, as he's already in, what we call the half kneeling position, kind of like you're stretching your hip flexor, and I just kind of want your arms comfortably out to the wall. You don't have to drive into it because we're going to use this as our setup every time to try to keep things accurate and precise. What we're going to try to do here is I'm going to try to have Coach P drive his knee towards the wall while maintaining this heel on the ground. you can see the heel's already slightly elevated just a hair, and we're going to stop just short of that. And that's going to kind of give us a pretty good indication of where our dorsiflexion, our ankle dorsiflexion is at. What we're ideally looking for is about 4 to 5 inches. So somewhere out here, if we can get to the wall, we have really, really good ankle dorsiflexion. So once we've assessed your ankle dorsiflexion, and with Coach P, we found out that we could probably use a little more. The question is how do we get more? What can we do to give us more dorsiflexion of the ankle to make our squat and our deadlift a little better? The first one we're going to show you here is kind of a self-banded mobilization, really, really simple. So we'll show you how to get this set up. Attach the band to something that's not going to move, obviously. We're going to bring it around the foot, and we're going to look to kind of get right on that joint line there so that he's going to have to move against the band pulling backwards this way, okay? And we're going to kind of do the same thing that we were doing with the dorsiflexion test here, where he's going to give a little pressure onto his knee here. I'm not driving straight down. What I'm doing is kind of giving a small pressure down, but more pushing down and coming out this way. And what we're looking for is for the knee to kind of start traveling a little farther over the toes. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to keep the heel on the ground. And if you get crazy, you can actually grab back here with this hand, and you're going to kind of cup the bottom here to kind of push the heel into the ground as we come forward. And we're actually going to work reps here. So we're going to come back, then we're going to come back forward, and we're going to hold that end position for 2 to 3 seconds, and we're going to perform 10 to 15 reps here, maybe 2 to 3 sets if we really need to get things mobilized. Okay, guys, we have one third and final kind of quick mobilization for the ankles. This is actually one of my favorites. We're going to be applying some principles from functional range conditioning. If you guys don't know what that is, take a look. It's pretty cool stuff. So what we're going to try to do is create some space in the ankle joint for it to move properly, right? So we can get more dorsiflexion, controlled dorsiflexion. So we're going to work out of this position, and we're going to call this position a combat-based position. As you noticed, all these positions that we're working out of are kind of the same here, and that's by design, right? We want you to feel comfortable, and this is kind of what the position is going to look like in a squat, or even some parts of deadlift, but in a squat more so, right? So what we're going to do here is Ben's going to kind of find a good stretch position in the back here. So we're going to get into dorsiflexion. Ben, go ahead and throw your hands kind of right up here. And again, we're going to try to get to that end range just before that heel. So you can go where that heel picks up, and then we're going to back off ever so slightly, somewhere like right in there. We're going to hold this stretch position, and hopefully we're getting a stretch on the backside here for around 2 minutes. Now we're going to go kind of through the stuff here because 2 minutes of watching this just isn't fun. What we're going to do after we hold this stretch for 2 minutes is I'm going to ask Ben to start curling the toes into the ground, and then he's going to let that pressure kind of come all the way down his foot. So start with the toes, and then we're going to start to drive the heel, and what he should be experiencing is even a more intense stretch in the back here. We're going to hold that for 10 seconds. We're never going to leave this stretch position here, so all this work is going to be done inside this position. After the 10 seconds, I'm going to ask him to relax his tissue but not come out of the stretch. Then we're going to go the exact opposite direction. So now we're going to place a demand. We're going to ask these muscles on the front side to start working. So instead of curling down, we're going to curl up now. So start to bring the toes up, and I want you to kind of almost try to touch the toe to like your shin, if we will. And we're going to hold that position for 10 seconds. And he's going to feel that stretch intensify, actually probably on both sides here. Then I'm going to ask him to relax. And we're going to notice we're going to have a little more we're going to be able to get. I want you to take that extra range. That's important. And then we're going to repeat that process. I'm going to ask him to start to curl his toes down. We're going to press down for about 10 seconds, keeping the heel firmly attached to the ground, starting to let the tension spill to the rest of the body. Then I'm going to ask him to relax the tissue. And then I'm going to ask him to curl his toes up. Start to kind of really bring them up. Start to really bring them up. All the way through. Try to touch the toe to the shin. Hold, hold, hold. Slowly relax. And now we're going to have a little bit more. And we're going to take up that slack. And now I'm going to ask him to hold this stretch for another minute. We want to kind of solidify the newly acquired range, so we really got to do some work inside those ranges. But these are 3 quick fixes for you guys. Hope you find them useful. Reach out to us at Coach P Strength, at Coach B Rose. Any questions, we'll try to answer. Have a good one.